Welcome back to The Grind for a quick rotation guide. This one's going to be a bit longer because there's a few different types of rotations I want to break down. Now, if you want to see a full guide, please do check out my channel for a full video that showcases bits of his utility and a lot of different fights, but how it works in most fights, even as big as Winter Soldier and Realm of Legends, and any act content that is currently available in the game. You want to build up with mediums and heavy attacks to build the Living Abyss charges, which is easier if awakened because you start with 15. Then you're going to throw a special 1 to get some more Living Abyss and start that encroaching corruption. As you're waiting for it to trigger, you're going to do more medium and heavy attacks to build up more of the Living Abyss, and then once the corruption sets in, you want to focus on light attacks for the burst, bleed, damage. If you do medium attacks, it will give a little bit of regeneration. The final medium attack will heal, but you want to push to special 2, and the light attacks and special 2 attacks are going to pause the corruption cooldown as well as give burst bleed damage. And in fights like this, you're either going to end with one special 2 or you can race back up to another special 2 in the first corruption time and throw off another big special 2. And that should be enough to finish off the fight. If it's not, you can do a special 1, then a special 2, then another special 1, and then go back to a special 2. And that will ensure your corruption does not expire. This is more important in the longer fights because you don't want your corruption to fall off, because then your armor breaks will start to expire and you'll lose all your ramp up. Now, this is just to showcase the healing potential, and the rotation for that, if you really want to focus on healing, is use your special 1s to keep the corruption active, and it's also going to give you regen with the special 1, and then focus on medium ending attacks as well as heavy attacks. Those are all going to convert armor breaks into Living Abyss, which in turn gives you regen. And now the rotation for the longer fights that are going to be more than just one corruption duration, you're going to want to again focus on building up your Living Abyss. And for the longer fights like Realm of Legends and Labyrinth of Legends and Abyss, you're going to want to build up about 60 to 70 Living Abyss, and then you're going to want to throw off a special 3, and that's going to give you a longer corruption passive. Now, I'm not going to show the entire ramp up in this clip. You can see the full Iron Man Infinity War solo on my channel. I will also have a Dark Hawk solo on the channel as well, but you do lots of medium attacks. You can do a parry, medium, heavy, and that's going to give you hopefully at least 3 Living Abyss each time you do that. And you're going to do that up to about 60 to 70, and in this one we're going to about 70, just over 70. And then I'm going to parry, and then I'm going to throw the special 3, and then we're going to be as aggressive as possible, doing as many light attacks as possible to keep the corruption paused as long as possible. And they have reduced combat power rate during this time because you have lots of armor breaks on them, so you can play aggressive, doing lots of dash back intercepting and then baiting out specials less frequently, and that's going to allow you to keep the corruption paused as long as possible. And the goal is, the trigger that I look for is to see that I have at least half the duration of the corruption by the time I have over 2 bars of power, ideally 2.5 bars of power. That's going to let me know that I have enough time to throw the special 2 and then still build back up to 3 bars of power. And we're going to show a situation where this doesn't quite work out ideally and what you can do to counter that. Now, I'm able to actually keep this paused quite nicely, and we're going to be able to build up a lot more power even with this first corruption going. And because I still have a decent duration on the corruption and the fight is actually going pretty quickly, I decide to throw off a second special 2 when usually I would instead go to a special 3. Now, we get some great damage off of this, but now the corruption is going to expire before I have a chance to get to a special 3, so I have to go for a special 1. And you really want enough time after throwing the special 1 to get another combo in with that corruption passive going, so you can do light attacks to keep it paused as long as possible while the encroaching corruption starts to tick through the duration. Because once the first one expires, if the second one hasn't activated, then your armor breaks are going to start to expire. If you're able to pause it long enough, you can see we did not lose our armor breaks, and I was able to get to another special 2 and finish off the fight. And we were able to get this Iron Man Infinity War from Abyss down in 174 hits and with a full yellow bar. So the next fight is also against Iron Man Infinity War, but it didn't quite go as well. So we're skipping the ramp up, we're going to throw off the special 3, and we're going to try to be aggressive as much as possible, but if the opponent is not throwing their special attacks, especially if they have long animations, it can really drag out the time that you're not able to keep the corruption paused, because you have to use light attacks or special 2 attacks to pause pause it. And if that doesn't work well, you're going to have to decide, do you have time to throw the special 2, or do you have to change your plan? So I'm doing my best here, but he's not really playing aggressive. He's not playing into my intercepts. He's not giving me opportunities to get the corruption paused, and so I'm not building up enough power with enough corruption duration left. He evaded there, which also threw a wrench into the mix. So you can see I'm at 2 bars now, but I have much less of the corruption. I'm about a quarter of the duration left. So at that point, I decided I had to go to 3 bars of power to then get my next corruption ready. The special 3 immediately applies the corruption, and now we're skipping ahead a little bit to the next key decision point. So I threw the special 2, and now we're getting trying to build up to a special 3, but again, it wasn't going as planned. So now I realize I still have 1 bar of power and I'm less than a quarter of the corruption. So I decide to throw the special 1 to allow me enough time to get another combo in and pause that first corruption there, because it's getting close to expiring, and I want the next corruption passive, the encroaching corruption, to have enough time to set in before that first one expires, so I don't start losing my armor breaks, because if they fall off, you have to restart your ramp up. So I was able to pause it long enough that the next corruption would set in before the first one expired, and that allowed me to keep all my armor break durations nice and hefty, and then I was able to build up to 2 bars of power and go into a special 2, and then the fight was pretty much over, but I had plenty of time to build up to another special 1 to make sure I did not lose that corruption. So for the smaller health pool opponents, you can do special 1 into special 2, but for the larger health pool opponents, you want to go for the special 3 because it's going to be longer and give you more wiggle room so that you can ensure you're not going to lose your corruption and all your armor breaks in those longer fights. I really do hope that this video is helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I hope to see you in the next video.